Financing your Texas metal building as easy as 1, 2, 3.
And get it approved fast with HFS.
Welcome back, Pack. Anabela and Cassandra here once again from WolfSteel Buildings, and we are on part 2 of our Financing Your Texas Metal Building series. So again, from our last video, we are going to be going over our financing lending partners and giving you detailed information that you need to know for your Texas metal building project. And in this one, we are going over our second option.
Yeah, so don't worry if you missed our first one. Here's a recap overview of what we covered.
Okay, so as we mentioned, this is going to be a multiple part video series where we are going to be highlighting our partner financial firms. And we're going to be talking important details that you need to know when you're picking out which one is right for you.
Correct. So we'll look into a few different things like how does it work? You know, how do you apply? Do you need an existing home on the property? Are you the owner of the property? What are the credit requirements and interest rates you could be looking at? You can also check out the link below to rewatch that.
Correct. So this video is going to be, as I mentioned, our part 2, and we will be going over a little bit more in detail the option, which is HFS, a lending company.
That's right. So let's get this video rolling.
So HFS is one of our partners that we have here for financing that provides personal loans for clients that are looking at home improvement projects. This, can vary anywhere between if you're probably doing any changes to your home that you have on your property, or if you're looking to add an accessory building onto that property. This is typically what most of our clients do. They're adding an additional building onto their property, maybe a detached garage, metal storage, metal workshop, anything like that that you see that we build.
So HFS is a direct consumer funding. So what they do is that after you get approved and you get those funds actually go directly to you. From there, then you collect those funds and make payments to us through that.
So it sounds simple, but how simple is the application process?
It is pretty quick. So if you go to our website and go to the HFS option, you click apply here and it'll pull up their pre-screening, and that would be for your pre-approval. And then you apply there, and then the process starts.
So once again, I would like to emphasize during this pre-approval stage, there is no hard credit pull that is done during the pre-approval stage. It's not until after they actually decide to go with that application.
Correct. So once you get past the approval of your loan, we actually get notified as well. Our sales teams gets notified, you get notified. So after that, we get working with them on providing, the documentation. So you would need to get over like your, your income, any proving statements that you're like the property owner, those kind of things. And then from there, we actually start working your order that you will also need to provide them with. So we provide it to you and you provide it to HFS. So now you're directly working with them. We're just kind of connecting you and guiding you through that process.
But HFS also gets in touch with us to pretty much validate and go over the project details?
Mm-hmm. Correct. So they'll review everything. If there's any issues on it, or hey, you forgot to change this, they let you know, and then we get notified. But we also do keep in contact with them, like, hey, if there's any slowdowns on your process or anything, we're like, hey, like, where are we at with this client? So we do keep up on that. And then typically, when you are approved and everything goes well with that paperwork, it's typically funded within, I want to say 48 hours. It's pretty quick. They're pretty quick about it.
Oh, that's actually really good. It also helps with the project timelines if you really think about it, because there's some times when you purchase with WolfSteel Buildings, we give you a project timeline at the time of purchase, which tells you, typically the best case scenario and the worst case scenario. And some of these things are kind of out of our hands, like processing, permitting, things like, your financing. Those are things that kind of, as much as we want to, we can check in with them as much as possible. Where are we with this client?
Yeah, so with HFS, since it is a pretty quick process, it's best to have everything kind of prepared with your project ahead of time. So like if you've been working with our sales, that way, I think that's the part that takes the longest. So when you have everything ready to go with your project, then it's easy to provide them the documentation pretty quick. So if you're still going through the quoting and going to figure out what you're really wanting to, and you already applied, then it kind of shortens that window, and then you're kind of like rushing to make that happen.
So what you're saying is when you're applying for HFS, the best way to go about it is to make sure that you've pretty much agreed to everything. You know, you've checked all your boxes, crossed all your T's, dotted all your I's. You know, you agreed to our terms and conditions for our contract, specifically WolfSteel. You know, you agreed to the total project costs, site prep, concrete, the whole shebang, pretty much.
Yeah, correct.
So when this does happen, so what you have everything ready, we've provided all the paperwork, everything's good to go, I've agreed to everything. What are the requirements that a client can look forward to after they've submitted everything?
Okay, so to get fully approved, they do require a minimum of a 670 credit score. Also, you have to have a home on the property, and you also have to be the owner of the property and the home on the property as well. So that's kind of how that goes. So for example, we have had customers that, wife and husband. So the wife will pull the loan because her name is on the home, or vice versa. Also, and then the order can be in a different name, but it's going tied to that property. So we've had that happen a lot of times where, whoever owns the home or both own the home, that kind of thing, that, everything is through them or through each.
Do we, for example, do we sometimes tell our clients, hey, you have the house under this name, it's better to have the order under this name? Does that have to be rewritten in order, on our end, do we let the clients know that?
Yeah, so it depends. So it's preferred, for example, with HFS, since they do ask for the copy of our invoice, so they kind of want to correlate everything to one name, which is the one or two names, whoever's on the property or the homeowner.
Oh, that's good to know, especially because sometimes those switch. It's
Yeah.
or they have both. They
Yeah.
have both the names on there, so good to know that it needs to correlate. So again, in regards to a client, what are the interest rates that they're looking at for HFS? When do those start? And then how long do they have once everything goes really fast? All the application, all that. How long do they have to make a decision on that application? So how long does that application stay open?
Yeah. So the interest starts at 7.99%, and then after you get your funding is when the interest rates start. It's kind of normal practice is that when you get pull those funds, when you get that money, that's when the interest starts accumulating there, and then the application stays open for about 5 days. Now it can be extended past the 5 days, but you have to contact them, let them know, the extension of that application. If not, they'll close you out after 5 days and you have to reapply.
I don't know what's the correct term, but do you have to provide them hey, can you leave it open for this specific reason? And do they have hey, yes or no, hey, we're gonna have to close it, you have to reapply?
So you can, as soon as you request it, they're actually not too hard about it. So if you request it, they're yeah, give me to the end of the month, or give me this amount. They'll keep it open as long as you're communicating with them.
Okay, so earlier you mentioned, you talked a little bit about the funds, and you talked about when do they get released to the client. So how do those get released, and when? And can you just overall insights on the funds?
So it's a little bit different to Frost. So Frost has where it's, per distribution and then signing of documents. But with HFS, after you get approved, everything looks good, they actually fund you that immediately. So they fund it to you immediately, and they fund you all of it. So you get, whatever your loan is, you're getting that whole amount, and it's going.
Okay, so HFS is a lending company, and this is definitely another option apart from the Frost Bank, which is directly with the bank. This is a lending company that you can explore to kind of give you another option to get your Texas Metal Building project going.
Yeah, it's important to find a lender that kind of, aligns with, knowing your project, knowing your metal building, but also having competitive rates. You want to make sure that you're not shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, and that it works with what you have going on. That's correct. And one thing actually that I noticed is a Frost Bank, which is our first option in video number 1, and now here on video number 2, they both require an existing home on the property, and they require you to be the homeowner. So what if you have a new property and you don't have anything on there, undeveloped land? Is there other options that we have?
I'm sure our viewers have the same question. So, to give you an answer to that, stay tuned to part 3.
So we are going to hold with that thought, guys. So let's not forget that we have a multiple part series This, on part 1, we went over Frost Bank, and this one, which is part 2, we went over HFS. We have one more upgrade option. Again, you can find all this information on our website. Cassandra did mention, and I think this is great to go ahead and reiterate, all of these options were brought to us by customers. And the one thing about WolfSteel is that we try to make the process as seamless as possible for you guys. So if you guys have other options, or if you are going through financing and you're working with us, or even if you aren't working with us, if you have other financing options that have given you great customer service and you really like them and you feel really strongly about them, go ahead and comment down below. Or if you have any questions about HFS, comment down below.
Ooh, one more thing. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
We'll see you guys in the next one.
Boop. So the reason it's actually dispersed that way, where we're kind of middlemaning it, is because